Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the South Burlington City Council meeting for January 5th, 2026. I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, Council, City Manager, Assistant City Manager, Deputy Fire Chief, everybody in the audience. Happy New Year. Let's hope that 2026 is as good as 2025, if not better. We're going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance. Who would like to lead us tonight? Ann? Oh, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Ann. Item 2 is our instructions on exiting this building in case of an emergency and review of our technology options. Jesse Baker, City Manager.
Thank you. So for those in the room, thank you for joining us. If there is an emergency during the meeting, you can go out the left or right side of the rear of the auditorium and then turn left or right to get outside. For those participating remotely, thank you for joining us as well. If you would like to talk during any item on the council agenda, you can raise your hand and we will call on you, or you can indicate that you are interested in talking in the Q&A and I will have the chair call on you. Other than that, we are not monitoring the chat for content.
Thank you, Jesse. Item 3, agenda review. Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes in the order of our agenda tonight? No? Okay. And then we'll move on to item 4, which is comments and questions from the public that are not related.
Sorry, Dr. Childs just raised her hand.
Say again?
Dr. Childs just raised her hand.
Oh, okay. For comments?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't finish reading the... Now is the time for comments and questions from the public for items that are not related to tonight's agenda. So Dr. Childs has her hand up. Anybody else want to raise their hand? Okay, so let's let Dr. Childs go first. Good evening, Dr. Childs. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Okay, I just have a question. Do you remember the last meeting, you mentioned your brother was there or stepbrother or whoever he is, but how could you say add him to the agenda when I'm told that 2 counselors have to agree for me to be added to the agenda?
Dr. Childs, I'm not sure I'm remembering who was added to a prior agenda, but you are correct about the council procedure that for an agenda item to be added, 2 counselors need to agree the Tuesday before a meeting.
Right, but Chair, I think he mentioned his brother. Mr. Barrett or somebody you mentioned.
Yeah, I think, Trevi, I think what I did was I was mentioning, was it about? Yes. So that was a public comment by my brother-in-law at the same time that you're making comments right now on the agenda about something that was not on the agenda.
Right, but I'm saying you told him that he'll be added to the agenda.
No,
but anytime I ask you,
I told him that at every meeting, item 4 is for a time for the public to speak about things that are not on our agenda. I said, so you're free to come in and talk about what you want to talk about. And I've told that to lots of people over the years.
Right. I'm not saying that you didn't say that, but how can you officially have a spot on the agenda? Because that's what you said.
No, he didn't have an official spot on the agenda.
Chair, not today. I'm not saying today that you did.
He said we'll discuss this at a future agenda.
Oh, yeah, and there's no agenda item for that. It's just a future time whenever the council agrees to talk about it. That's all. We didn't set an agenda for it. He just brought the subject matter up.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Treva. Charles. Looks like Lydia is up.
I would love to know how to get on the agenda because I call city.
Can you go to the
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, and remember to identify yourself.
I would like to know how to get on the agenda because I called City Hall to ask. But they said, oh, you could do public comment. But anyway, I'm not here about that. But I would like... Did you
identify yourself, Lydia?
I'm sorry?
Did you identify yourself yet?
I'm Lydia Diamond.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, I am Lydia Diamond, the first Black candidate to step up and run for South Burlington City Council. I guess I have to say that every time. So I want you guys to know that I wrote this letter for you. Can I hand it out?
Sure.
Oh, thank you so much. I think there's enough for everybody, and I don't think Ann should get one, but I'm sorry. The last time we were here, December 15th, I spoke about being invisible, unheard, and discriminated against. And you guys probably don't even understand where I'm coming from, but I'm exhausted. And I feel like I have to teach y'all about cultural competency. You say this, we can't do this, we can't do that. None of that applies to me because you've never had a person of color before. So when you say you can't do this and you can't do that, I believe in breaking the rules. Okay, baby? Because some of them were made to be broken. Now, I checked out the non-discriminatory policy for the city of South Burlington, and all the beautiful things that you say, you broke all of them when it comes to me, because I've run 3 times, and like I said before, 2 times the winner stepped down, and I had to go through that horrible damn selection process, but I wasn't selected. And I feel like you are leadership and you need to do better. If you believe in me, you should do better. I should have been given a chance. Now here I am, I gotta run again. This gonna make my 4th run. So on top of that, last year, first year I got 100 votes. I don't remember what I got the second year, but the third year I got 802 votes, and it meant absolutely nothing to the leadership of South Burlington City Council. I don't understand that. It makes no sense that I wasn't given the chance to warm that seat and pew sitting in. Okay? And I want accountability from you. I don't want to hear that. I want to know how I get on the agenda so you can respond to the things that I've been questioning. I want to know how to get on the agenda because I need to know the answers and what's going to be done about it. I am a great-grand auntie of 2, grandma of 7. I am the matriarch of my family. I never dreamed of doing this, but since I have been called, I'm answering the call. And I don't appreciate being, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. Give me a break. It's 2026. You never had a person of color. How do you know what you can and cannot do if you don't try? Okay. And I woke up today with this in my mind. I need to just throw it out the way. Pay attention.
Is that it, Lydia?
No.
For tonight?
No.
No.
I just want to say to the community, there's no need to fear. Underdog is here. Yeah, I'm telling my age because y'all not listening. Oh, now I'm done.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Anybody else in the audience have an item? Anybody else online? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to Councilors' Announcements and Reports on Committee Assignments and City Manager's Report. Elizabeth, you want to go first?
First of all, I join you, Tim, in wishing everybody a happy new year. And there were a few meetings before the holidays. I can't remember if we had the conversation with a counselor before we met last, but I think we did have another one of those. And then I attended, Anne, you can speak to it, but I did attend the SB3C meeting, which there's a lot of activity going on, and you'll hear more on tonight's agenda. Attended the Planning Commission meeting, which there was a lot of talk about the Act 250 tier or Tier 1 and Tier 2 process. And as always, I find the Planning Commission to have very robust conversation and very helpful to tune into those. And then lastly, the school board meeting as well, and got some preliminary information on some of the policy work there that's going on and some of the feedback. And as you all know, that Dr. Joe Clark was put into the full-time superintendent position, and looking forward to collaborating as the city council with the school board. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Andrew?
Sure, a little light because of the holidays. So I attended the Safe Routes to School group meeting where we basically reviewed the results of the survey that we took for the high school and middle school. We had 231 responses, which was a lot. So people were, I guess, very willing to participate. We learned through those responses that about 20% of our students walk, bike, or roll to school on a regular basis. 51% say they have a direct and continuous route, but many students don't feel safe, either because of unsafe intersections, traffic, and other students mentioned just other general safety concerns about walking or biking to school alone. I know Jack Evans, who's now helping to facilitate those meetings, mentioned he was going to reach out to Chief Broll to discuss some of that. We'll see where that goes. And that was basically it. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Anne?
Sure. I attended the SBC3 meeting, and you're going to hear more from them this evening, so I won't speak a lot about it, but we were very fortunate that our city manager came and answered lots of questions and really helped focus and helped give us some information from her experience and from what other sort of city center or city groups have been doing. And so it's very helpful. And we talked about what they're going to present today. So I don't want to take their thunder away. And the second, the other committee that I am on is the Arts Committee. And we also had a very robust and fun meeting, and you will hear about that this evening as well. And for those of you who did not go to the library on Sunday, it was their first Sunday. They had, and I was there from 10:30 to 12:30, personing the little bookstore. I want to say there were tons of families with young kids, some of whom had never been to the library before. And I spoke with the librarian, and over 280 people came. So I think that this is the decision that you all made prior to my coming. I fully support, but having the library open 7 days a week, I think, is going to be, and clearly their first day, it was a success. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. Lori?
So I haven't attended any city meetings since our last get together, but I did attend 3 Christmases, one at 7 a.m., one at 11 a.m. for grandchildren, and a third one at 2 p.m. for our 97-year-old mother-in-law. So it was a very full Christmas. And then New Year's Day, I just happened to be looking at the New York Times and saw that Mayor Mandamni, I don't know if I pronounced the name right, was being inaugurated. and there was the inauguration for him. And it was like an oasis in a sea of desperation. The inauguration was phenomenal. There were representatives from every major religious denomination there. It was just incredibly uplifting and embracing of community and everybody. And if you're sitting around wanting to do something sometime, take a look at that inauguration, because from Bernie's swearing in to the various speakers, it was incredibly moving. And I just wanted to share that in the light of a lot of darkness we've had in the last months. So
And Bernie didn't wear the same mittens.
no, but
With
he
the
was
same
bundled.
coat.
But he was bundled, and he had quite the hat on.
He had the same coat, I think, as the previous. And the original, I mean, the inauguration, actually, the swearing in took place in the old City Hall subway below that's been closed for years, right?
The original.
And the architecture there is just really, it's really beautiful. What a great spot to have performed that.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw pictures of that too.
This was the ceremonial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, like Elizabeth said, I attended the Planning Commission meeting before Christmas and also an Energy Committee meeting. And I stepped in briefly at the opening for the art on the walls in the hallways of City Hall here. Please take a minute when you leave, or if you do come in, to check out all the art going down the far hallway, all the way to the right. Really great hanging, and it's with the new curator for the Public Arts Committee, so that's really great. And I also wanted to say that if you didn't know, the Recreation and Parks Committee is, the department is sponsoring a January 31 mile fitness challenge. So for the month of January, if you can log your mileage and you get above 31 miles, you're doing okay. At the end, okay, you submit your mileage in, and then there are some contests that you can be entered into, and raffles and stuff. So please check it out. It's on the website. You can walk it, you can run it, you can do equivalent exercise, whatever you want to do that can equate into miles. But 31 miles in 31 days. Can you do it? Pretty easy. Good. Okay. Good. Great. That's all I have. Jesse.
Thanks. Happy New Year to all as well. So again, new year, new hours. Thank you, Anne, for being here for the library opening yesterday. This was our kickoff to Sunday hours, every Sunday from 9 to 3. And special thanks yesterday to the Library Foundation for providing a hot chocolate bar and goodies. And if you come for the next 2 Sundays, you may see a similar thing. Also want to share with the council and the community that Irene Nelson will be sworn in tomorrow as the South Burlington police officer. She'll attend the Vermont Police Academy in the February class. Ms. Nelson is originally from Pakistan, but most recently has lived in Albany, New York, where she served as a junior ROTC company commander as she participated in the State University of Albany's Citizen Police Academy. She also received her bachelor's and master's from that university in criminal justice. So we're excited to have her on board and going to the academy. A few updates from the city clerk's office, especially since our city clerk is here. Absentee ballot request forms for 2026 are now on our website to complete and return. You can also call the clerk's office for those forms, or go to the Vermont voter portal at the Secretary of State's office. Yes. And consent forms and petitions for local office are due to the city clerk by 5 p.m. on January 26th. Yes. Thank you, Holly. I also wanted to take, this is very dorky, but a really important thing that our staff has been working on, take a moment to talk you through our NetSuite finance system implementation. So as the council knows, you invested in a new financial management system for the city. It will greatly improve our ability to process and report on our financial expenditures. We launched that on December 1st, so it was also the same day we presented you the budget. So coming up to December 1st, we had to map 1,600 general ledger accounts across all of our funds, code by code, from our legacy NEMRIC system to our new NetSuite structure. We then went through 5 years of historic financial data to verify all of the financial history to codes were accurate to build out into the new system. We then mapped PO invoice workflows and tested those, and then had to integrate that system with our bank, TD Bank, our payroll system, our permitting software, and our Civic Rec software. So all of that was done before December 1st. Since December 1st, we've processed over 400 purchase orders created in NetSuite, and 373 invoices and issued warrants for $2.8 million through the new system. So a huge thanks to Martha and Rich and Steve and the entire finance team for launching this. It will be a huge efficiency system for the city. We won't be running literal paper purchase orders and invoices around the city, and greatly improve our reporting processes. So thank you for allowing that investment. And then in addition to the recreation January fitness fundraiser, I do want to call out a few other fun things that are happening in City Center in the next couple of months. So our next Spotlight 802 will be here in this room on January 28th at this time, where they'll have a Vermont Brewers panel speaking to the community. It's a free event open to all. On February 21st, in partnership with Run Vermont, we'll be offering a kids fun run around Market Street in connection with the mascot breakfast here at the Senior Center for kids and seniors. And then mark your calendars, Illuminate Vermont is scheduled for April 24th and 25th. So fun things coming up in City Center. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Moving on to item 6, which is the consent agenda. We have item 6A, which is consider and sign the disbursements, which begs the questions, will our financial warrants be in a different format with the new system?
They are.
They already? Okay, good. 6B, approve the plowing agreement for Sadie Lane and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement. 6C, authorize Public Works to apply for the Communities Caring for Canopy grant to plant trees in the city's right-of-way. And 6D, which is award the engineering design contract for the Wilston Road Sidewalk Segments project to McFarland Johnson and authorize the Deputy Director of Capital Projects to execute all contract documents. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 It's unanimous. Great, thank you. Now we're on to item 7, but it's not 7 o'clock.
Hey, Steve. She's here. Sorry.
Is there something we've got 6 minutes, unless is it, yeah, well, 7 minutes. Do we want to move something up?
10 here.
10 is here? Is Todd here? Yeah. He's on, oh, there he is, okay. Yeah. Do we want to do number 10 now?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to skip 7 and go directly to 10 right now, which is consider accepting a donation by Todd Lockwood of Jumbo, a stainless steel sculpture by David Strohmeyer, and approving its placement on Swift Street at Veterans Memorial Park with Amanda Holland. Hi, is Amanda here?
I don't think she's here yet.
She's not here and she's not online. No. Well, we kind of need Amanda, don't we?
Oh. I don't know what you're saying, Alana. Yep.
Okay, we have a representative here. We have Alana.
I can do this. I know Amanda is planning. Sorry. I can present the recommendation from the Public Art Committee. I know Amanda Holland was planning on attending.
Okay.
If you would like, Sophia Babbitt from SB3C and Alex Judge are here.
Last thing you said?
Sophia Babbitt from SB3C and Alex Judge are here, but I can present the Public Art Committee recommendation if that's preferred.
Okay.
I think we just wait.
Can we do that now?
Why don't we do the SBC?
No.
Well,
It's going to take longer.
I would
Then
just-
it's going to push everything.
Yeah,
back.
how about just 13? We
How
can
about
do that.
13?
Yeah,
okay.
we can do that.
Never mind. So we're not going to do 10. Now we're going to do 13, which is
Yeah, that makes sense.
appoint a.
Would you like me to talk about this for the next 5
well,
minutes?
we're going to try and appoint a member to the Stormwater Appeal Board. Could you take 5 minutes to describe this, please? And pick a very important person for this role.
So I'm actually, Tom DePietro had asked if he needed to be here for this, and I said no, but he is online, so I'm going to bring him over if he would like to talk. But the background of this is in your municipal utilities ordinance. It contemplates having a stormwater appeal board. That board is defined as members include the city manager, the public works director, and a third person appointed by the city council. It has been used, I believe, historically once in around 2012, and has not met since then. We are anticipating an appeal coming up, so Tom recommended that you appoint somebody to this board. Historically, I believe that was a staff person, but we have a city council chair who is willing to serve in that capacity, so we are recommending you appoint him. Tom, did I miss anything?
No, good evening, Council. Tom DePietro, Public Works Director. I think you covered it pretty well, and so I think we just need to kind of update the folks that are on this. We've only ever had one appeal before, so the board has not been especially active. So it's a little dated now, the appointment.
So I move to appoint Tim Barrett to serve as the council appointee to the Stormwater Appeal Board.
I enthusiastically second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so now I'm going to give my acceptance speech. I think I've got 20 pages here.
You got 3 minutes.
Thank you for putting your stormwater trust in me. I will try to rise to the surface of the water level in dedication, and I'll try not to run off into the distance, and I'm going to be your direct pipe to that appeals board, okay? And and we'll try to pool our decisions, right? We're not there at 7 o'clock yet, are we? So I could keep it up, All right, so that was item 14. Thank you very much. I look so much forward to if there is an appeal to the Stormwater Appeal Board. What else is there that we can do to chew up another? Yeah, we could do that. Just wait until 7 o'clock. All right, so what do you have exactly? Oh, 15. All right, so we're just going to do it. So item 7 is a public hearing warned for 7 p.m. to hold this public hearing on the South Burlington City Center TIF District Substantial Change Application to the Vermont Economic Progress Council with Alana Blanchard, the Community Development Director, who will be speaking soon while we try to chew up another minute and a half of time.
Perhaps, Mr. Chair, you could explain if there are members of the public that wish to talk or say anything, if they can, or what that process is.
Well, once we open the public hearing, it will be open to the public to give comment about this particular subject until there are no more comments, and then we will close it. And then we will consider voting on it. I'm just curious, is there anybody in the audience that is going to want to comment on this public hearing? Don't know yet. Oh. Yes? No, this is the TIF district? No. Okay. And there's nobody online that has their hand raised, right? No. Okay, we got another 6:59. We're getting closer. It depends on which clock you're looking at. Who's got 7 o'clock on their watch? Is there a clock in the auditorium?
I can introduce myself.
Yes, 7? Oh, okay. Well, good. Okay, so please proceed.
Okay. For the record, Alana Blanchard, Community Development Director. And usually I try to make my presentations fairly short and concise because this is a substantial change to the TIF district, and we have been receiving questions about the substantial change. I did prepare some additional remarks for the public hearing. And I don't know, I can give them now, or if you'd like to open the public hearing, I'm not sure where you would like them. So.
Why don't we do it now? and
Okay.
then we'll open the hearing.
Okay, sounds great. So just for the general public, some background on our TIP district in South Burlington. The City Center TIP district was approved by the City Council in 2012 and approved by the state in 2013. And a TIP or the TIP district tool is the state's largest economic development tool. And so it is a once in a many generational opportunity for a community to realize long held goals. So, for example, in the city center TIP district, our TIP district plan is composed of multiple projects that have been in our comprehensive plans, our studies on roads, our studies on visioning for the community for many years. And so the TIP district enables the city to realize those goals using the ability to encourage new development that can be used to fund these projects over time. So our TIF district allows the city to collect revenues on new development that occurs inside the TIF district that doesn't change the tax rate. It's just that new development value. The city is able to collect both the city and the state tax rate. It's a city-state partnership to create economic development. For over 20 years. So over the course of 20 years, so in our case until 2037, we're able to collect those funds and use them to pay for TIF projects like this building, like Market Street, like the bridge project, like City Center Park. And so these projects also, the TIF district allows us to match other funding, like federal funding. For example, Market Street is largely federally funded, but the TIF district was able to close the gap to complete the project. These new tax revenues in a TIF district don't exist until the TIF district occurs. At the end of the TIF district, 100% of those revenues then go to both the city and the state in order to realize other goals. So they are no longer tied to the TIF district. And one of the key elements of TIF districts in Vermont is that they're very heavily overseen by the state. So they're very much required to be in line with state goals and city goals. So that's why they very much, so in our case, they implement things that have been, we always say they've been, the bridge has been in plans for decades. We've talked for a long time about having a city hall and a library. So they're in line with our community goals, but then they're also in line with state goals around sustainability, around compact development, and around putting growth where it should be and protecting more sensitive environmental areas. So I just want to make sure I hit the right points here. So I think I've covered most of these. Through TIF district financing, we've been able to leverage over $24 million in federal funding, and we'll be looking for additional funds. One important thing is that the South Burlington community has been very involved in the planning of public projects and also has voted 4 times to approve TIF district projects and funding. And so the substantial change that's before you does not change the total amount of TIF district financing. All the debt has already been incurred. What it does do is it updates costs for projects, and it also reallocates funds between projects, or allows for those funds to be reallocated between projects. And one of the things that has happened since the last substantial change in 2021 is that there has been a significant amount of inflationary pressure on costs. And in construction, there has been more. We've seen it, a lot of pressure on labor in the construction workforce as, like many workforces, it has been aging. And there also have been, this is a good thing, there have been more projects in Vermont, and that creates more competition for scarce labor. Because the last cost estimates were given in 2021, this substantial change reflects 2024 prices, some for projects that have already been put out to bid, and some for estimates that we now have that have been updated. And this doesn't mean that the state, BAPC, has been told what those prices are, and the council and community have also seen those prices, but it's really important that the TIF district plan and the financing plan also have that same information that is getting reported. And the way that we do that change is we go through a substantial change process, and that's a very formal process established by the state. And part of the reason that we go through this process to make sure that our plan and our financing plan are consistent with what we see occurring and what our capital improvement programs say and what our reports say is because of the audits. And so we want the plan and our reporting to match up. And so one of the questions that I received is, what happens if we don't do this? Number one, we're doing it at this time because of the bridge, but we would also need to do it for City Center Park. So both of those projects are, we're allowed to be 20%, have a cost change of 20%, and that's, or below 20%, and it's not considered a substantial change. So when we talked to VEPSI, they said, well, you're at 20%, you should do a substantial change. So we do need to do a substantial change for more than one project, and so this will do this because of the bridge and the urgency to put the bridge project out to bid again in order to avoid inflationary pressure. This is a good time to address all of the cost changes that we have seen and make sure that they're all included in this substantial change. And so we're bringing it forward today. Obviously, it is a council prerogative, and the council can choose to go anyway on any project. There are, we are very far down the road with the bridge. It is a, long-held community dream. There is a concern that if it were slowed down, that cost could continue to increase, and at some point, there would be a point where we might recommend that it not be built, and that would have a big change in terms of how we envision City Center becoming. So that concludes my presentation, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Council have any questions at all? No. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and have a motion to open the public hearing?
I move to open the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you. We are now in a public hearing on this matter. Is there any comment from the public in the auditorium? Michael, come on up, please, and remember to identify yourself and make sure the green light's on.
Green light is on. Michael Mittag.
Is it on?
Resident.
The
Yes,
light?
it's on.
Okay.
Why am I not being heard?
Can you hear?
I just have a question for Ilona, whether with these new changes, can we remain on track to meet our TIF financial obligations over the remaining period of the TIF? That's the question.
So with these changes, it will allow us to move forward on moving the bridge out to bid. All of the timing of all of the projects would not be changed by updating the substantial change. It does help to keep them on track. There are many other things that will be needed to keep everything in the TIF district on track. So we will also be applying for grant funding. We did just receive news that the bridge project is approved this year to be a regional priority project, which means that that list goes to the state, and it also goes to some federal agencies that are granting agencies. We will also continue to work with property owners in order to create a positive development environment in City Center within the TIF district. So.
Thank you. Any other comments inside the auditorium? Anybody online? Going once, going twice. All right, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing then.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second?
We've motioned and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and it's unanimous again. The hearing is closed. We're going to now go to item 8, which is consider to approve the substantial change request and application to the Vermont Economic Progress Council and authorize the city manager to submit the substantial change as presented to the VEPC. So now you're asking for a motion and a vote on this, right? Okay.
So I move to approve the substantial change request and authorize the city manager to submit to VEPC the substantial change as presented.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's unanimous once again. So the motion carries and the change request is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Alana.
very much. Now we're going to go to item 9, which is approve resolution 2026-01. Wow, it's the first resolution of 2026, I guess. And for joining the Let's Build Homes Coalition, Nora, is Nora here?
Yep.
Come on down,
Cheers.
please. Good evening. Make sure that the bright light's on.
There it goes.
Yeah, and pull the microphone up a little closer and identify yourself.
My name is Nora Senecal. I'm the chair of the Housing Committee. And there's a few members of our committee here tonight, and I do believe that I just spoke with Lydia Diamond, and she was planning on speaking as well. So
Who's going to speak?
Lydia Diamond.
Okay. Is she?
She just stepped out, but she'll be
She
back.
stepped out. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So you all have the resolution. You've read it. Great. I just want to speak a little bit about why the committee is drafted the resolution and is asking for your support in joining Let's Build Homes. As a city and as a committee, we're aligned with the general mission of Let's Build Homes in addressing the housing shortage, building density in places where it makes sense. We've been rewriting LDRs to promote housing in designated areas. We have a TIF district, and I think it aligns with our Housing Committee work plan, which includes the Economic Development Strategy Plan implementation and contributing to housing-related implementation, looking at growth management, and coordinating with education in other municipalities. And I think it reinforces our commitment towards economic diversity and economic justice. The number of people who pay more than 30% of their income on housing is 48% amongst renters in the city. And what I'm hoping for us in our committee in terms of joining Let's Build Home is to learn with and from other communities about how to create housing within the targeted areas of growth. And if you look at our growth map for South Burlington, for the most part, it's going to take some small scale development, working with smaller lot sizes and working with neighbors and neighborhoods. And so what I see is learning from other communities and us working together, learning how to work with communities and work with each other around how to create more housing. And I'm hoping it'll provide some opportunities for collaboration. I am aware that there's some concerns about, what does it mean for us to join Let's Build Homes? I don't see it as a binding agreement, meaning that we might have some disagreements with specific policies or some of the ones that they support. But I see our cities will always have agency to support and advocate for the behalf of our residents. And I think joining the coalition gives us an opportunity to engage in dialogue around things that maybe we disagree with. And it's a coalition. And, is it too pro-development maybe? If that gives people pause, but we have been developing in targeted areas, and we've done a lot of work around that, and work we should be proud of and not hide from. We've been doing that. And then I also have kind of become aware of some bristling at, the words such as abundance and an abundance agenda and what it may lead to. And I think if you think of abundance in that term as a concept or a movement that has as its conclusion that our rules or policies have stifled housing growth and created artificial scarcity. I mean, that's basically what that they're promoting. But I think we don't have to embrace all those terms and all those ideas. We have an objective scarcity of housing in this county and in this area at large. And none of what I see in Let's Build Homes is about setting fire to our LDRs or our development regulations. And you don't have to embrace all of it or abundance or its overtones. I think our region is trying to move towards enough. And it's clear we have scarcity and we just want to move towards enough. And I think as its mission, it talks about housing as not just land and regulations and structures, it's about peoples and families. So I feel like it has a lot more heart in some of the things that we value as in its ethos. So thank you for considering it.
Great, thanks, Nora. Lydia, did you want to make a comment too?
Yes, I'm part of the housing committee.
Can you pull? Yeah, can you turn on? Make sure the
you hear
microphone's
me
on and
now?
pull it close to you. And
Is this better?
come a little closer. Move forward. There you go.
How about now?
That's great.
Well, I've participated in 2 housing committee meetings, and I have to tell you that the second meeting shocked me to have Myra Weinberger come floating in, smiling and grinning like. When it came time to vote, I was the only one who said no. No to the coalition. Because, frankly, the housing committee's a shit show. Based off of the 2 meetings that I've been to. It's not structured. It's messy. We sit in this little itty-bitty room, crowding people into a small room. Like, I struggled to breathe. I also struggled with the Let's Build Home Coalition being the topic of discussion from the former mayor of Burlington, who, under his leadership, homelessness skyrocketed and is still out of control. Under his leadership, discrimination in the city of Burlington was out of control. And I don't think they've gotten, they still trying to get it together, get things back in order. Under Myro's leadership, absolutely not. Burlington is still an eyesore. Now, I feel bad for the new female mayor, but she has a lot of work to do to just get back to being a little bit normal, being a little bit of the beautiful place that I first came to with my family in '94. Because we lived in Burlington before we moved to South Burlington. I don't want that for South Burlington. I don't think that the Let's Build Homes Coalition is all that it's cracked up to be. I don't believe a word that comes out of Myro's mouth. If he wants to build homes in South Burlington, it's all about money. It's not about people. And there are enough people struggling as is to keep a roof over their head. A lot of times you hear about, oh, the homelessness is this and the homelessness is that. And they're talking about Burlington. You never hear about South Burlington. But you could, thanks to Myro's leadership, if that's what you're interested in. But I am not interested in Myro Weinberger's leadership on a Let's Build Homes Coalition. No, thank you.
Were you the only nay vote in that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, just curious. And so, all right. So I understand your position. And so it's a lack of
Everybody
confidence
was
in,
eating him up like he was chocolate, and he's not. Ugh. Please give me a break. Come on, let's be adults about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you gonna teach your child to recognize the signs of those who don't mean you the best. And the Let's Build coalitions don't mean nothing, but they want money. That's it. They not. Are they gonna build some homes, affordable homes in the southeast quadrant? Cause I'm ready to move. Let me know. No, he ain't. But thank you.
great, thanks, Lydia. Is there any public input from the audience about this? All right, John, you want to go first, and then Michael? Come on down to the podium and make sure that the green light is on and identify yourself.
I never know if you can hear me. Can you hear okay?
Push the button again.
Oh, there it is. That's good.
Identify yourself.
Yeah, John Bosange, speaking for myself as a resident of South Burlington. I want to speak to the resolution. I hope you've all read this Saturday's commentary I put in Vermont Digger. I sent it to you, all of you, in anticipation of tonight. I believe South Burlington has done its very best to increase our housing supply, to protect our remaining open spaces, and to address the growing climate crisis. To the credit to you and others who have served before you, we have kept our city more or less a very livable community. Lynn and I have enjoyed living here. It's been very nice. Yet there are other organizations and individuals outside our city who have not talked about what livable means now and into our future. They've been consistently applying pressure to define life for us here in South Burlington. You have most likely read many of my previous commentaries in Vermont Digger and in the other paper and throughout other media outlets in our state. I write a lot about my passion for sustainable and responsible growth. I'm also passionate about affordable housing of all types, constructed in the appropriate locations, built to address our climate emergency, and I've always said that in all my commentaries. And I always put my money where my mouth is. I'm a major donor to the Champlain Housing Trust. In my quest to truly understand and advocate for affordable housing of all types, I met with Mara Collins from the Vermont Housing Finance Agency, met with Alex Farrell from the governor's office 2 times, met with Kevin Chu from the Vermont Futures Office project 3 times, met with John Rogers, our lieutenant governor, and have communicated directly with Governor Scott. And a month ago, I met with Moreau Weinberger. I've challenged their numbers, their projections, their vision, and their rationale for growth and the impacts of their proposals. Never have any of these organizations or the people that I've mentioned ever mentioned the need to address the environmental impacts and financial carrying costs that more building and more housing bring onto communities everywhere. I have been unable to get them to say anything at a press conference or an article they write about the impact of their approach on the so-called housing crisis. And I wonder, are they in denial? Surely they know what's unsustainable. Instead, it's full steam ahead with mythical thinking. 40,000 new homes by 2030, 150,000 more people here within the next decade, build more and more unaffordable single-family homes, and let's just deal with the consequences later. By the way, last year, 34% of our single-family homes were bought by out-of-state investors, hedge fund operators. The latest, you look at Spear Meadows, unaffordable luxury homes that begin at $700,000. Now, thankfully, you have tried to avoid that with our recent marketplace development. That's been wise and responsible, and for sure a step in the right direction. But the organizations that I mentioned earlier, and the ones I noted in my Saturday commentary in Vermont Digger, say one thing, but they promote another. Or say nothing at all. Just use the word crisis to justify building anywhere, everywhere, to justify streamlining Act 250 to avoid environmental regulations, or to override local control, like our LDRs and our easements on our remaining natural spaces. List-built homes is leading that charge. Full steam ahead, no matter the cost of the impacts. I told Moreau that when I met with him. And I handed him copies of all my commentaries and pointed out all the shortcomings of his approach. Crickets from him and others. Instead, we read about how Vermont needs, quote, an abundance agenda. Thus my editorial on Saturday on the hijacking and the exploitation of the myth of the abundance agenda. Regarding the specifics, whereas in this resolution, let's start with number 7. Let's build homes is not in harmony with our working lands. I can't get Moreau to write or talk about any possible environmental degradation if we are not careful. I looked at 8. It states, quote, coalitions or organizations and businesses to support growth. Sure. Developers, realtors, lending institutions, investors, out-of-state finance groups, and lawyers are a big, big part of that coalition. Number 9, quote, supporting for pro-housing legislation and regulatory streamlining. Yes, so they can build where they want and when they want, uncontrolled, quickly, and as I mentioned earlier, to use the term housing crisis to create a sense of panic and reap quick profits. Number 10 says promoting housing growth, again with no discussion ever about the financial and the environmental impacts, and to support property owners. That's playing the fear card of denying a person their individual rights. We have our LDRs and have dealt with that already. Number 11, quote, engaging in the Act 250 tier mapping. That's been creating language so they can build on environmentally sensitive lands that have already been mapped out as Tier 3 zones, and then promote building within 25 feet of wetlands, and then sell all that as needed infrastructure for development in village centers.
Are you getting close to being done, John?
Yeah, I am. About 12, we're using the guilt card of welcoming new neighbors or tying growth to opportunity or preserving its unique character. As if those of us who want a more deliberate and sustainable growth process are unwelcoming, discriminatory, or don't want others to have the opportunity to grow. Preserving the unique character of our land, like Spear Meadows, or the Blythe off Kennedy Drive, Kimball Avenue, or Old Farm Road, or the existing car culture, dependent Satellite Village and South Village, or the isolated homes along Dorset and Spear. Is that the unique character we want? So no, please do not hesitate or associate our community with Let's Build Homes. Do not sign this resolution. The organization does not reflect the good things we have already done. Let's Build Homes is a capstone organization, now representing all the organizations that I have met with. Their vision, their priorities do not align with what's important here in our future. I know this firsthand. I've met with the leaders of these organizations, and I know where they are headed. We do not need a partnership. We should not join their coalition, nor should we ever become a member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Michael?
It's tough to follow such an eloquent presentation.
Pull that microphone down a little bit.
There we go.
And remember to identify yourself.
Michael Mittag. I'm a resident, a fairly long-time resident of South Burlington, some 23 years here. 30,000 homes by the end of 2029 is really meaningless for South Burlington. I don't know why we would want to associate ourselves with that. It doesn't fit in with anything that we want to do. Our CCRPC target is approximately 300 new homes annually over the next 25 years. That's to 2050. It works out to about 4% of the 30,000 homes in South Burlington by the end of 2029. They're going to build the other 96% of this 30,000. The South Burlington Planning Commission has already taken steps to apply for the Act 250 exemption maps, Tier 1A and Tier 1B, to promote housing supply and affordability where it is appropriate. Just for sort of a historical perspective, South Burlington built an average of 142 homes per year in the years 2000 to 2023. The CCRPC targets for South Burlington are at the low end 152 per year, middle around 303, and high 455. We are working with the middle range as the target of 300 homes per year average through 2050. We will meet the needs of affordability and growth under the Vermont's Home Act and remain aligned with our own City Plan 2024. The Planning Commission has been quite intensely focused on expanding opportunities for housing, increased housing in South Burlington. The aforementioned Tier 1 and Tier 1A and Tier 1B exemption maps will allow us to build dense and affordable housing, if we can, in areas where it's appropriate for residential building. We increased the number of stories allowed in multi-story buildings. We made it much easier for people to build ADUs. We focused on infill development, and we allowed building an additional home on a lot without the owner having to go through subdivision. We also plan to establish new town center areas which will allow more housing and very dense housing. Let's Build Homes claims that it is focused on accomplishing specific achievable reforms. provide municipalities with tools and new investment to finance the public infrastructure, reform the appeals process, support property owners and builders in navigating complex permitting process, and support pro-housing regulatory streamlining. These 5 items that I just mentioned are code for deregulation and the dismantling of our carefully structured land use regulations, which also protect our open spaces and habitat blocks. I beg you, do not get involved with homes. Let's build homes. Let's do what we are already doing. South Burlington is streets ahead of almost every other city in Vermont, so much so that the ANR has asked us to write a regulation about endangered species, and it's as a template that they can use and give to other cities when they have to do it. So we're doing we're not doing what Let's Build Homes suggests. We're doing something that's much, much smarter. So we don't have to be involved with people who just want to make money on this. Please don't sign this. And it's not an agreement, by the way. It's just if you get that far, it's a voluntary thing. But I think it would be insulting to us if the council votes on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I see online that Dan Albrecht has his hand up. Hey, Dan, can you hear us? You're muted.
Yeah, the unmute there. All right, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
Where's the camera symbol? I see the audio. Where'd the camera go?
We see your picture.
So, Dan, in this new webinar, you're just able to talk. If you want to be promoted to panelist, I can.
That's okay. That's my hair's kind of messy. That's actually a good headshot. So.
It's a good picture.
I'll take it. Dan Albrecht, 20-year resident, Proctor Avenue, R4 district, a couple 100 feet from Shelburne Road, in one of the corridors that's taking all the growth, which I believe in. Just a couple comments. First, to the resolution itself. You know, the city is involved in lots of regional efforts. And I think this is an appropriate one. The city of South Burlington is an important partner. I'm just speaking for myself, but an important partner with the Regional Planning Commission, which is my employer, but speaking for myself. And this is the flip side of the regional conservation partnership. This is the flip side of all the work you guys have done with, VHCB or the Vermont Land Trust and the whole conservation political side of things. Some of which I agree with, and some of which I think are just another form of exclusionary, keeping people out and finding ways to cloak it in a different way. So I think from an equity standpoint, just like your comprehensive plan, which talks about conservation and climate change, it's also about opportunity. So I think, having these regional message is important. It sends a good signal to other towns that shall remain nameless, that need to step up. But I think the most key thing, and as obviously somebody who works in regional planning and, served on the DRB, everything's done at the town's, the municipal level, and you guys make the choices as best you can. And I disagree with some of them I agree with, but it's always been the city council and many of the people there in the room and all of us tussling in the world of public policy to find, strike the right balance, and nothing changes from the aspect of the LDRs. Nothing's taking that away. And in fact, there's nothing going to be done in this resolution or others that would override whatever the city council and the planning commission come up with. So, and it's ironic, that one of the previous speakers kept, any policy group uses fear as a driver. And it, so it's weird. It's interesting to watch all the aspersions cast and fear mongering on this element here. This is nothing that doesn't require any dues money, doesn't submit the city council to what Moreau may or may not do, or the other members. But it's sending a larger message to the community at large that this is an issue, just as the environmental concerns were a big issue that got addressed, and people, whether it was statewide regulatory measures or certainly in South Burlington, the conservation agenda, has certainly held sway for decades now. And so this is the flip side of the coin and striking the right balance. So I think it's a good thing to be involved with. And I'm a believer in regionalism myself, both personally and professionally. So I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't regard it as a toxic relationship or anything like that. And indeed, by participating, the city can help put that city of South Burlington spin on what Let's Build Homes Together, what their goals are and all. So rather than staying on the sidelines, so you have a chance to influence the debate. And Moreau or any of the other members of the group very well, and you can have more influence by being involved than not being involved. So I would just encourage you to do that. As far as projections, just in closing, there's always speakers every year. This is one of the most fascinating facts. I don't know why it's happening, but for many years in the school funding debate, there's always people that say, oh, we're going to have too many school kids. And what's really fascinating is, despite city, and you guys know the stats on how many housing units and what, we're up to 21,000 people, maybe even 22,000, and our school enrollment is flat. So all these assumptions that may have fit back in the 50s and 60s when people had 2.5 kids per house and everybody went to the public school down the street, the demographics are just blowing those projections to smithereens. Similarly, with the municipal budget, the city's always done a good job of, keeping it at about the rate of inflation, steady state. I don't see our police coming here, the police chief saying, I need 50 more officers, crime is out of control or traffic's out of control. So I just, let's all just bring the blood pressure down and calm down. This is Vermont. Nothing really changes that fast. And I think I would rather that you guys err on the side of being involved with regional organizations, whether it's the RPC or your conservation partnership work, or in this case, the building Let's Build Together campaign, that you guys be involved rather than not be involved. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Dan. I see Barb has her hand up. Is that Barb Service? You're muted. Oh, is that you?
Good evening. I did not come planning to speak tonight. However, when I listened to the first three speakers, I was moved to add my voice to their concerns. As we look at other discussions about regionalization, some of it has worked, some of it has not. If we think about some of the recent statewide conversations related to education, the people have spoken that they're not concerned. They are concerned about too big. And I think that South Burlington has a community mission that doesn't necessarily fit with some of what I've been hearing tonight. And I confess I did not read the proposal because, like I said, I was not planning to speak. But I think we need to listen to both the emotion and the data that were presented by the first three speakers and take a step back from this. I'm very concerned that the big club will come in and we will lose, we meaning South Burlington, will lose the ability to say, no, this isn't us. This is who we are. We are a few hundred homes a year. We are not 30,000 homes. We are making sure we have open space. We are making sure that we have good schools to fit all that. We are making sure that we have truly affordable housing for those people who need and want it. And for those people who want to have 2.5 children and those who don't, that the housing opportunities exist. So I would encourage you to take a step back from this proposal and reconsider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. And that was Barb's Service. She didn't identify herself, so I'm going to do it. So
Can
Sorry about that.
somebody correct the notion that we're going to build 30,000 homes in South Burlington, that's what we're being asked to do? This is a goal that is statewide. We have our own housing targets. They are not 30,000. you.
So anybody else in the audience? Is that Sandy? Come on down. And who else? Raise your hand. Was that Mike back there? Okay. Hit it again
Oh, okay. Now I see.
and identify yourself.
Sandy Dooley, and I have lived in South Burlington more than 50 years and have seen it change a lot. I do want to start by thanking Michael Mittag for citing all the ways in which South Burlington has been a role model in developing land development regulations that show how you can increase housing opportunities and where in a way that is compatible with other values regarding protection of natural resources. I think because we're a role model and we've been able to do so much, it's important that we be part of this because we have lots of expertise and how to share. And I see a lot of Let's Build Homes as helping other municipalities in the state build more homes and finding ways to do that in ways that are in harmony with our working lands. So the other thing is, I don't see anything in Let's Build Homes that isn't complementary to what we're seeking in our city plan. We talk about building community through housing and infrastructure. Housing retention and development are fundamental elements of the plan. We talk about working with other communities and so that development can be more than just here. So I would encourage you. Well, the last thing is Vermont per capita has the second highest rate of homelessness of any state in the country. And to say that we don't have a housing crisis, I have a lot of trouble with that. And I also have a lot of trouble with thinking that engaging in an effort that is really geared to recognizing what I consider a human right to housing as something that's counter to the values of this community is very troubling to me. I really think that we need to think about the fact, as someone said, how many people spend more than 50% or 30% of their income on housing, the stress that puts on a family. There are lots of ways in which we need to address the housing crisis, which I really do believe exists, and I think this is one of them, and I encourage you to vote in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Michael, come up. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Sandy. Michael, come up, please.
Good evening. Michael Semino. I used to serve on the Housing Committee. And this isn't what I came here to potentially offer my opinions on this evening either, but I would support and encourage you to support having South Burlington join the coalition. Dan Albrecht said a lot of great things. Sandy, loved your comments. Every opportunity that we have to be more engaged in this conversation, sitting down with people who have different points of view in order to achieve better outcomes, we should take advantage of those opportunities. And it continues to dismay me that a conversation so critical as our housing conversation, that most of it's not a conversation. It continues to be people circling their wagons and promoting fear and anxiety about what the future is going to look like if we decide to join a coalition, if we decide to take a seat at the table and engage in more conversation, are you really afraid of that? So there is so much more to be gained by being at the table and having this conversation. There is no question there's a housing crisis, there's a healthcare crisis, there's an income disparity crisis in this country. We have so much work to do. We need to invest ourselves more and more and more, being at the table, looking at people in the eye who we have differences of opinion with, and figuring out what we can do to move forward. So I can encourage the council to support this resolution. It's an opportunity to become more engaged and set an example. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody else in the auditorium? There's nobody online with their hands up? Council discussion. Who wants to start off? Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah, let me step back and say, first off, this is a resolution. This carries no obligations with it. It's not a, sorry, can you hear me? Gotcha, sorry. This is a resolution. It carries no obligations with it. It is not an official agreement with an organization, the coalition specifically. The Housing Committee was asked to review this relationship and consider whether it was beneficial for South Burlington to join the coalition. South Burlington is growing. South Burlington will grow. And we know housing is not just a South Burlington challenge, but a regional and statewide challenge. And we have an opportunity, as Mike put it, to have a seat at the table to share not only all the positive work that South Burlington has done that might help frame some work that other communities have that are not as far along in the process, but also to reconsider, or I shouldn't say reconsider, to open ourselves to what other opportunities other municipalities are looking at that might benefit South Burlington. This is not strictly zoning, it's not strictly financing, but it's really looking at all the creative ways to address the housing needs across the state. South Burlington is not going to solve the housing shortage problem. As Nora said, this South Burlington is not signing up by approving this resolution to build 30,000 homes in South Burlington. It's really understanding where can we contribute, and part of our contributions are really in letting other communities share in the learnings we've had. Alana talked at the start of our meeting about the substantial change in the TIF district, and the question was asked, are we on track with the TIF district? And the success of the TIF district does require the density of homes in city center to be built. So we will be participating in building homes regardless of belonging to this coalition. And I do believe that experience of building denser, climate-friendly, hopefully affordable homes, whether they're rented or owned, in a city center and in the various, tier 1 and tier 2 mapping properties or geographies will help serve as models. I look at the work that we've done around establishing a transportation corridor in South Burlington. I look at the economic development plan, and in my mind, this resolution is very consistent and really acknowledges how the work we've done comes together to acknowledge our part in helping to solve some of the housing crisis that we are seeing. So I do support the resolution. I appreciate the comments that are made. I don't see them as being in conflict with all the work that's been done, and I don't see them as undermining the work that's been done in South Burlington in terms of moving this resolution forward. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So it says, so there's a little bit of,
Do you want me to?
you want to reword that?
So I was vacation week. I was writing in an agenda. I wrote quickly. I just put approve. It should have been discuss and approve. You have no obligation to approve anything tonight. You can approve something. You can discuss something. You can table something. I just want to make it very clear to the community. It is always the council's prerogative for any item on the agenda, whether they take action or not, regardless of the wording on the agenda. So just because the word discussion is not on there doesn't mean you can't just discuss it.
Okay, so yeah. So I appreciate the work of the Housing Committee in bringing this resolution forward, and I value the work of the committee. And Nora, I appreciate your heartfelt and truly sincere support for folks facing housing insecurity. I also recognize our housing shortage, and I understand the mission of Let's Build Homes to address it. But I don't believe that their policies to do so align with those of our city. And I want to explain why. So we've approached the housing shortage with, I think, very careful and thoughtful policies that stand on three pillars. One, dense housing, where housing is appropriate. Two, protection of open spaces. Three, building standards that recognize the climate crisis. I believe our policies are a model for others in Vermont and indeed around the nation. I want to explain those pillars a little more. So pillar one, as Michael explained, we've worked hard to increase housing supply and reduce the cost of new homes by making changes that make naturally affordable housing easier to build. We boosted density where it makes sense. We halted short-term rental conversions. We've prioritized infill. We've allowed more flexible use of lots. We opened the door to much taller buildings in and around city center. All this has already led to 600 new units of dense housing over the past 3 years, higher than our historical averages. We're doing more than our share to help folks in our community and around Vermont that do experience housing insecurity, as we should be doing. Pillar two is open space. We've guarded our open space to ensure that additional housing doesn't undermine the protections that are vital to our well-being. Our open spaces sequester carbon. They buffer the increasing floods from climate change, filter pollutants before they reach Lake Champlain. They provide habitat for our pollinators, our wildlife. They support our local food production. They cool and clean our air, and they enrich our quality of life. Our third pillar is the climate crisis. New construction in South Burlington has been our regs are very careful to ensure that construction is consistent with a future for our children that is habitable on this planet. So critical that we get off of fossil fuels. So our housing policies require new construction to use renewable fuels for hot water, renewable fuels for heating. We have solar PV requirements for commercial buildings, solar ready requirements for residential housing, and hopefully we'll have back soon EV ready charging infrastructure for new construction. I don't see anything in the Let's Build Home mission or in this resolution which recognize the importance of pillars 2 and 3. And it's not exclusive, it's not mutually exclusive of building homes. They could talk about it, but they don't. Nothing talks about it. To the contrary, what they say is they want to drive reform at the state level, including support for pro-housing legislation and regulatory streamlining. What does that mean? One example is the governor's executive order, which purports to roll back wetland buffers around the state and reduce energy efficiency standards in new construction. Reduce energy efficiency standards. As reported by the Vermont Digger, Meru Weinberger, the current executive chair of Let's Build Homes, wrote in a press release when the governor's order was issued that Let's Build Homes applauds the order. Yet the order is in direct contradiction of two of the pillars upon which South Burlington's housing policies rest. It's not about being afraid to engage, but how can we partner with an organization that directly contradicts two important pillars of our housing policy? Last year, the Vermont legislative draft of Act 47 would have overridden our natural resource protection and habitat block protection by requiring us to allow 5 units of dense housing across areas which we try to protect. Only through intense lobbying will we be able to secure exemptions for our open spaces from this legislation. The draft would have also preempted our ability to enact building energy standards of the type I just described. We also successfully lobbied against that provision. I'm not certain, but I suspect Let's Build Homes was in favor of that draft. You may know. Let's Build Home issued a press release praising Governor Scott, who lobbied for the draft, for his support, and said several of Governor's initiatives align with many of Let's Build Home's priorities. If the bill had passed in its draft form, much of our efforts to save open space and address the climate crisis would have been undermined. So it's not a question of being pro or anti-development. It's a question of how to address the housing shortage. While there is a shortage and the need for housing is clear, I don't support the approach of Let's Build Homes. We can certainly share our expertise with that organization without joining it. I'm personally happy to discuss our approach with any of the leadership at any time, but I think it would send the wrong message to our community to join this coalition, and therefore I don't support it.
Thank you, Andrew. Ann, any strong feelings?
I have lots of questions.
You have a question?
No, my strong feelings are I have questions. I think we have, as a community, have a lot to offer. The concepts that folks have talked about in terms of the importance of talking and dialogue, and perhaps us sharing our expertise, I find of great value. I wonder, and these are my questions that I don't expect answers to, I wonder what we as a community will get out of joining this coalition. I've lived in South Burlington is my home. South Burlington is where I became an adult. I've probably said this before. When I moved into Treetops, there were cows across the street. South Burlington has changed in just the 5 years I've lived here. No, and I'm okay with that change. I actually, for lack of a better term, think that South Burlington is part of what is Vermont's urban core, and that we have a responsibility, and that's what our city center is, and I really support that. I'm not sure what we as a community would get out of joining this coalition right now at this time and place. So those are questions that I have. That's not to, and at the same time, our housing committee has done incredible work and been an incredible advocate, especially for what I guess you all are calling the missing middle, in terms of housing and promoting that and promoting it in the right direction. And I am hesitant to discount the recommendation that they have. Yet I have questions. So those are my strong feelings.
Thank you, Ann. Lori?
I appreciate the work of the Housing Committee, and Nora, I appreciate you bringing this forward. And when I first saw the agenda item saying approve this resolution, my thought was, I don't know if I'm ready to approve it. And since I got it last week, I've been thinking about it a lot. And I totally acknowledge we have a housing crisis, that we have to do something about it, that we have an affordability crisis, that we have to do something about. And I support building homes, but I don't support the strategies that I've seen come forward from Let's Build Homes to date, many of which Andrew talked about. Okay, thank you. My three areas of focus are affordability, availability, and sustainability. And from working on the Planning Commission to create our city plan and looking at how we have organized our LDRs to really create smart development in our city, it's become very clear to me that the status quo of building in communities throughout Vermont, and I don't just mean South Burlington, but communities throughout Vermont, taking our farms, our fields, and our forests and cutting them up and turning them into the word just escaped me, but turning them into what? Well, you could say sprawl. I was going to say suburban subdivisions that are car-centric and low density, that don't effectively support public transportation. That model is not successful right now. And one proof of that is that Let's Build Homes got the governor to approve creating TIF districts for residential house developments in the state. And what that does is it does a cost shifting for the development. It says, okay, the developments are expensive because of this infrastructure. That infrastructure belongs to those housing developments. But we're going to have the TIF district pay for it over 20 years. But it's not going to affect the tax basis, but it does because the taxes that are being collected going forward pay off that debt. If building in these fields is really affordable, that infrastructure belongs being paid for. It's part of the cost. When we cost shift it away, we artificially lower what it actually costs to build those homes. We make it look like those homes might be affordable, but in fact they aren't. And we're figuring out how to shift money away so that they look affordable. How do we build affordably? What are the houses that are going to be good for our families 20, 30, 50 years from now, when our economies look very different and our way of life is very different? So I'm not ready to vote yes on this. I don't really want to vote no. I think it should be tabled. I think we need more discussion. And I really want the focus of our conversation to be on how do we create housing that creates affordability, availability, and that is truly sustainable for us, for our kids, and for their grandkids. Because we're facing big changes in our world, and we're responsible for what we pass on to those generations. So that's my strong feeling.
Thanks, Lori. Ian?
I was going to say, I support what you just said in terms of perhaps tabling this. I don't want to vote no.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not ready to vote yes.
Okay.
And
Okay. I'll keep my comments short because other people have had longer comments. We're a Dillon state, and we've learned that lesson pretty hard over the last 3 years, right? Whatever Montpelier says, we'll dance to that tune, and we have to dance when they pass that legislation. And various forces within Montpelier have sent bills through and forced us to do the dance over and over again, right? We have a lot of smart people in our city. You have a lot of smart people on your staff, and I'm really appreciative of that, and on our committees as well. We know how to develop the city, and we do it collectively either by public voting on certain aspects of it or by chunks of work that go through the planning commission that the city council either then approves or doesn't approve, right? but it's all focused on trying to derive what's best for our community, right? Which is then governed by the city plan. So what bothers me about this is that it's a developer incentivized coalition to try and lower their costs. I mean, that's my opinion, right? And everybody wants to lower their costs, and I get it. And we're working on that right now. We're actively working with, the Planning Commission is looking at the Tier 1 A/B methodology, which would streamline permitting processes and remove the Act 250 in certain applications, for developers. That cuts their work in half and probably cuts their permit costs by more than half. And that's a good idea. But there are other ideas that are not good. Rolling back the energy efficiency codes to the 2020 is ridiculous, right? Who wants to build a house today, right, with the climate crisis that is not putting that money in to save money for how you're going to heat it or cool it, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the future? It's just ridiculous. So I'm not, I appreciate their organization. I think their hearts are in the right place. It just, I think our hearts are in a better place. If you want to talk about it, I mean, let's build homes in South Burlington. Look out the window. We've done it, right? And the developers on the street, they've done it too. So I don't feel like I want to even vote on this tonight. We could table it and look at it in the future. That's my opinion. Is that the majority opinion for the? It sounds like we've.
Sounds like Elizabeth wants to say.
Sure, go ahead.
I guess my question, Tim, would be what additional information would council like to be able to move a resolution, this one in particular, or revise resolution forward? Sorry, Anna, I went back from my mic.
I think if it's possible to see if Let's Build Homes has some other change to their disposition, I don't know.
I can say that the way Let's Build Homes presents themselves and the way they have been lobbying, I'm not interested in doing something that, quote, supports or endorses that organization. I'm more than happy to be engaged in conversation with them and to continue the dialogue. But unless something, I could see coming up a resolution for our city that talks about us building affordable, available, and sustainable housing in our city. But I feel like that's what our LDRs already do. So for me, this resolution is either redundant or counterproductive. And I'm not sure that I would vote for it even if we have more conversation. So maybe we have put a motion forward to not sign it, and if that doesn't pass, then we table it, or we just table it for now if people want future conversation.
Right, or we could just take no action at all. We don't have to take any. Yeah. And that's unfortunate for the Housing Committee having gone through this process and written, a good resolution the way it is. But I don't think we have enough votes to move it forward at this point.
Elizabeth had asked me a question, and I think some of the things that come to my mind, part of it is my history. What is their legislative agenda? And I know that we don't, by signing on to it, doesn't necessarily mean that we agree with everything. However, if our name is on the list, unless we're going to risk, if we don't agree with something, unless we're going to risk going down there and say, we're part of this organization, but we don't like this. So I'd be curious what their legislative agenda is. And I'm curious, now that I'm a counselor as opposed to a legislator, what is the value to South Burlington to be a part of this group? When there's such when we seem there's, I think we're on a pretty good path in terms of trying to address housing, trying to have it some concentrated right here on city center, and having discussions about what's open and what's not, and those kinds of things. So I would prefer to do whatever one does. I just look to you, Mr. Chair, that we take no action. I don't want, I guess I don't want this to be left with the South Burlington Council thinks this is a horrible organization.
We never said that.
But just that we don't take a vote. I don't want to take a vote.
Yeah, I think we're not going to take any action. So
Could I just ask, Nora, is there anything that you would like to see from the Housing Committee's perspective after tonight's discussion?
I guess, if you take, I guess I just want a more clear, so I just want to be left with more clear direction of like, if we're not going to continue a discussion about it, that's what it sounds like, correct? Yeah. That we're tabling it. We're not going to come back and discuss it anymore. I guess that would be good for the Housing Committee, I think, is to have, and this doesn't have to happen in an open forum in a council meeting on an agenda item, but I think personally, how you want us to continue to work towards our work plan when some of these organizations provide assistance in that, not direct, but there's, the connections and the people that could help me as a chairperson move towards some of these goals are associated with some of these types of organizations, and it would be nice to be affiliated with them. And other housing committees are affiliated with them. And so, I just, if you want to, I'd be happy to discuss with any of you about that, but it's a regional problem, and it's and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when we have these open forums about what you want the housing committee to do. I think a lot of other ideas and inflammatory statements get made, and that gets things always devolve to the same discussion, and it's very hard to move it in other directions. So
I want to make one sort of quick final comment, and I guess two. The first one's really quick, which is in terms of these organizations, members of the housing committee can be part of these organizations without the city, quote, joining and affiliating. And I'm in favor of people being in conversation with anybody and everybody. So I hope that not taking action doesn't prevent you, Nora, or anybody from engaging with all the organizations that are doing the work that's pertinent to what you're trying to do. And the other thing I want to say is I want to make sure that you can take back to your committee at least my appreciation for the work that you guys have done. And in other committees in our city and in other municipalities that I've been involved in, I've seen committees do hard work, bring it forward, and then have the acting body take no action. And I know how frustrating that is. And it's like, we've done the good work, we brought it to you, and you said no. And I apologize for that. I acknowledge the work that you guys put into this. And I really hope that you don't go back feeling discouraged, because and I think everybody on this council are fully behind building homes for our residents that are affordable and attainable, that take care of our lowest income people, that take care of our missing middle, and that provide housing opportunities for people that have greater resources and want something bigger, for lack of a better word. So I just wanted to say that because I'm sitting here going, oh man, I just put my thumb on something. But I want to make sure you can go back and acknowledge to your folks that the work is really appreciated.
Thank you. And we're going to keep working.
Thank you, Nora. And thanks to Lydia, who left already.
Thank you for saying that, because it's not a repudiation at all of the work of the Housing Committee or their goals or what they're doing.
But committees so often.
Oh, God, but, having been on
You've
the
never
other
been
side.
All right, let's move on to item 10, which is consider accepting a donation by Todd Lockwood of Jumbo, a stainless steel sculpture by David Strohmeyer, and approving its placement on Swift Street at Veterans Memorial Park. We have Alana and Todd, and Amanda is online, right? Yep. Good evening. And Todd, there's a green light on the base of that. Should be bright green. Thanks for coming tonight.
So for the record, Alana Blanchard, Community Development Director, and I'm here with Todd Lockwood, who is the proposed donor, and then Amanda Holland, who's online, will be giving the presentation today.
Say it again. Can you pull the microphone a little closer to you?
Yeah. So Amanda Holland, who is the chair of the Public Art Committee, is online, and she will be leading the presentation today.
Okay, great. Thanks. Hi, Amanda. It looks like you're muted. There you go.
All right, you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. So thanks. Yeah, I'm Amanda Holland. I'm the chair of the Public Art Committee. And I just wanted to give a little introduction and then for those two. But Todd Lockwood came and met with the Public Art Committee in November at our November 18th meeting and shared the proposal for an art donation by the Vermont artist David Strohmeyer. And the committee is very supportive of accepting this new sculpture as it aligns with the city's mission to expand opportunity across the city for residents to encounter art and experience the many ways art and culture can be presented and expressed. The location, which was selected by city staff at Veterans Park, is visited by residents year-round and a key destination for recreation and entertainment by many different groups of our residents. So I think it's a really great location. And the committee is grateful to Todd Lockwood for his consideration of this donation, which will enrich his community and ours with this piece. And just to say that the Public Art Committee recommends that the council accept this donation. That was all I had to say to try to
Where is
keep
the
things
sculpture
brief.
now?
It's at the sculpture park in Enosburg that David operates.
Okay.
The piece was just built in 2025.
Okay.
So it's just
wow.
one of his latest.
So it's new.
Yeah.
Really. Have you seen it, Elizabeth? Have you been there?
Not the park.
Oh, okay.
We have a picture of that.
Have you been to the park?
Oh. This was the first year I haven't gone in because there's always new pieces. It's a great park. You should go. It's a wonderful place, but it's only open from like summer till October.
Yeah. The warm half of the year, basically.
No trudging around the snow.
David's in Texas for the winter. He winters down in Austin.
And I saw the proposed location right at the entrance to the park.
Yeah, and the exact placement is still got to be finalized with the Parks Department and this, maybe some other parts of the city will get involved as well, just to figure out exactly where the best spot would be there. But our hope is that there'd be a little bit of exposure for cars that are coming down the hill on Dorset, stopping at the Swift Street traffic light, and boom, there it is right there. That'd be a nice welcome thing for the park.
So when I was on the Public Arts Committee, we've talked about the straightening of the intersection of Midas Drive and White Street, right? and how there's going to be a little park there, and how there could be a sculpture there. And I'm thinking, wow, right across from Al's Fries, that'd be a great landmark. But I'm not on the committee any longer, so I don't get to participate. even though
Well,
I was-
this is a figurative piece where most of David's work is more abstract, and it's a person. It's a person in motion, and I think it just fits the park perfectly based on the activities that go on there. It's made of stainless steel. It's two-dimensional actually, and the stainless steel is I think 3/8 of an inch thick, and it's been roughed up a little bit with a grinder to make it look more interesting. It'll never rust. It's got a lot going for it.
Is a plaque planned for it of any sort, or a storyboard, or?
I'm sorry?
I can answer
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So Chairman Barrett asked if there is a plaque planned for it, and so we will put in an interpretive sign. So similar as part of the park signage program that's been approved by the council, there is an interpretive sign which is a post with an angled top, and so we'll include a marker for the piece that will explain it. It'll get the name and donation.
To explain the donor and
Yes.
the artist and
Yes.
okay, great.
And the time frame and
Yeah.
the materials.
Yeah.
I have a clarifying question. I'm not sure I heard that this was a donation from the sculptor, but I believe, is this a donation from you, Todd, or from the
Well,
sculptor, or both?
I have a donor advised fund at Fidelity, and that's really where the funds would be coming from.
I want to make sure I know the right place to have the appreciation. I just wanted clarification on that.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
I've been supporting the arts in the area in a pretty big way since I retired, basically, and I've had roles in the arts around here. I was chair of the board at Burlington City Arts Foundation for a while, and I had a recording studio in Burlington for 15 years. We were involved with the band Fish getting started and so on. So I've had a role in a lot of this stuff in the past, and this is a way for me to sort of give back.
You have an arts award in your brother's name. Is that correct?
Yes, with a few friends that knew my brother, we got together and think tanked an idea, which was to create a statewide arts prize similar to a MacArthur Award that's given out once a year to one artist a year in Vermont. It's been given out now 14 times, and it's a $10,000 prize, so it's kind of in a league of its own in the state. And it's really captures sort of the who's who of the great artists around the state in a whole lot of different mediums as well. So that continues, and it's named after my youngest brother, who was a very talented artist who lived in the area for only 5 years before he tragically died in a work accident in Burlington back in 1987. And so it was, a way to remember him as well.
Great.
Well, it's a really exciting opportunity, and I just wanted to make sure that how it was coming to us was clear. And I'm grateful.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm really, I feel very honored to be able to do these things, and this is the second Stormwater piece that I've donated. I donated a sculpture to Shelburne Museum a few years ago, which is on their grounds now as part of their permanent collection. And I hope to do more of the same. So
that's great.
So I wanted that.
You got a slide of the sculpture?
Oh, maybe put it up. All right. Todd, I want to thank you for your generosity and vision and inspirations. Really, really incredible. How did you get hooked up with the Public Art Committee? So I want to thank them too. How did that connection happen? Did you approach them, or
I approached Alana.
Okay.
It happened. I'm a portrait photographer as well, and it happened that my portrait exhibition was the very first one out here in the gallery when the building was just opened, and Alana was working with me on that, and so that's where the connection came.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So there's the piece. That is Jambo, and Jambo is the word hello in Swahili. Something David came up with, and I think it's kind of a fun name. I could see kids in the area, latching onto that name and oh, hey, there's Jumbo, as every time they go in going into the park, So I think it could
have a Jumbo festival.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to say, Todd, I did look up the artist's work, and a lot of it was abstract, as you mentioned. So
right.
I didn't know, as I got into the board or the council packet, that there was going to be a photograph of the work. And given that I bring my grandkids to that park a lot, I thought the juxtaposition of this action figure with the baseball fields, the soccer fields, the playground.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a great match. It's a great match. Just was lucky on the timing because it literally was finished, I think, a week before we started looking at this seriously. So
We have somebody online that would like to speak.
Ted Lunsky.
Hey, Ted Lensky, can you hear me?
Oh, you know what? It's not Ted. It's Penny Tompkins. I'm sorry. My Zoom, I multiple personalities in Zoom because of my library involvement. I apologize for that. So no, this is Penny Tompkins, and I don't sound like Ted at all. I'm also on the Public Art Committee with Amanda, and I guess I'm just, adding my support. We were so super excited when Todd brought this to our committee, and really appreciative of how it helps us move forward some of our goals around public art for the city. And so we loved seeing all the images, and you guys have now gotten to see them too. And we were just really grateful to Todd for reaching out to Lana and coming forward to his hometown to donate this art for the community. That's all. And I better fix my Zoom thing.
We're going to have to rename that park the Veterans Memorial and Art Park.
There you go.
We'll just start accumulating huge sculptures. That'll be great. Can we have a motion to accept this donation?
So, motion to accept the donation by Todd Lockwood of Jambo, a stainless steel sculpture by David Strohmeyer.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion by council at all? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it is unanimous.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. We should see it in about 6 months, 9 months?
Yeah, well, David will be back April and
Okay.
get right to work.
Okay.
Figuring out the siting and stuff.
How do you move that thing? Yeah. Big truck. All right. Thanks, Todd.
Can we take a break? Can we take a break?
Okay, we're going to take a quick break because it's 8:35. So 5 minutes, folks. So we're going to move on to item 11, which is receive a presentation from the SB3C on the FY27 budget request. Come on down.
Made him wait.
Sorry that took so long. But it was a lot of important stuff to go through, as is your item. It's important too. So make sure your microphones are green, bright green, and identify yourselves, please.
Good evening. Sophia Babbitt, Executive Director for the South Burlington City Center Collaborative, SB3C.
And good evening, everyone. Alex Judge on the board here at SB3C.
Wonderful.
Good evening. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us. So before I begin, I was curious, do you guys have any questions of the material? It's a pretty long, extensive deck that I submitted. Is there anything that you would like me to address first? Thank you, Jesse. Otherwise, I can briefly cover our FY26 priorities that we have accomplished so far and what's ahead, and why our 20K one-time funding will allow us to shift from launch mode to sustain impact in FY27. Any questions or place where you'd like me to start, or no? Does my overview sound good? Where we'll begin? And let me.
This resolution only. This is the agreement. We've already signed the agreement, right? Yeah. There was an email that came out today that I didn't get a chance to read. Is that pertinent to this discussion?
It was. So what I had when I was going back through my budget request that I had submitted last Monday, I noticed some minor errors to it. So I updated the spreadsheet, put it in red, which I can also share here, or I can get to that later down in the FY27 budget. So just wanted to call that out before. And I wasn't sure if you guys had time to review the budget beforehand or if you noticed it, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention before we move forward.
I didn't get a chance to read that email, so can you go over it? Or?
Sure, I can definitely go over it right now. So what it was just the budget that I had submitted for the projections for FY27. There were a couple line items, nothing for the full year, for the total revenue versus the total expenses for the net additions to the fund balance. Those yearly numbers did not change. It was how I laid it out per quarter, where some of the numbers and the calculations just weren't matching the total new FY27 budget that I had drafted and presented to you.
All right, let me jump in here. So I think the point of this conversation is that we are about to have your kind of final FY27 budget conversation in preparation for next Monday's meeting, where you'll adopt a budget to send to the voters. As part of what I proposed to the council, with the leadership team proposed to the council, was a very continuity of services level funded budget that continued funding at the level it was in FY26, in the year we're in right now. When SB3C came forward in October, and we, as aligned to the agreement we had signed, they made a budget request for $20,000 more than what we had funded them at for this year. So when we brought forward the budget proposal to you, we had some options of use of one-time funds to bridge that gap between continuity of services and your budget goals. So they're really here. You all had some questions about SB3C's operation and the level of municipal support that they were asking for, the level of support you were comfortable providing, given that they are not a city department, they're a private nonprofit organization that is developing in City Center to support our TIF district and our growing downtown. So that's really what we're here to talk about tonight, that additional $20,000 one-time funding request, or how I have framed it as a one-time funding request. They are requesting it as a annual request. And then any other questions you might have about their operations and what they've done since October, since they certainly have done quite a few things since they were last here before you. And in the agreement is regular updates to you, so this is also satisfying that requirement in our shared agreement.
So maybe in that vein, I'm wondering what would you expect from the city in fiscal year 28 or 29?
Or both?
28 or 29. So my goal would hopefully to be weaned off from city funding. So for the rest of the for the 2 quarters for Q3 and Q4 for FY26. I've set some pretty aggressive goals, fundraising goals from diversified funding streams, continuing into FY27. So I think as we are, where you guys have been able to fund us in our piloting, our launch, our grassroots, getting us off the ground. And I think the city's funding has allowed us to move quickly from concept to action. So to answer, I hope by FY28, by FY29 and beyond, that we will have established diversified funding streams to support ourselves at a much greater level than we are right now.
So then, just to answer the question, the 20,000 is not actually, it's not an annual request.
It's a one-time.
It is a one-time request.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that 20,000 in that whole spreadsheet that we're going to see in the next item?
I want to add on to Andrew's question. I think what you guys have done so far is fabulous. It's really exciting, and I think it's a fabulous investment. But going forward, do you anticipate needing to be funded at the $75,000 level for more than this year? And if so, what are you thinking it will be in terms of percentage of overall budget? Right now, that $75,000 is a major portion of your budget. And going forward, what percentage of your budget do you expect to be requesting from the city moving forward? And how you see that decreasing, or et cetera? It almost sounded like you were expecting us to go down to zero.
No, not go down to zero.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. So.
No. So for FY28 and for FY29, there's a decrease in funding. So it would be like a 10 grand decrease by FY28, and so forth. 59 would be the next. So our base funding right now is we're at $55,000 for our organization. So this is the 21 time incremental non-tax paying dollar amount that we're looking for FY27, and then in FY28 it would go down to 65, so we decrease that by 10 grand. FY29 under 60 grand, so 59. And with that, I had projected some much more high increased funding sources and revenue streams that would help offset that city funding. And then hopefully by then as well, we had other areas of allocation, like with the business improvement district, maybe a downtown discount loyalty card sales. We had on here event and merchandise, so that was and I'm sorry that you're not seeing it on here, but when you're asking about FY28 and FY29, you'll see it on the column B.
Can you remind us when did you start?
I started in September, so 3 months ago.
Okay, and since September, how many members which members translate into dollars, because you have to pay to be, you're joining an organization?
Yeah, so we've quadrupled our membership since I've been on board. And we've met our FY26 annual revenue goal and have exceeded that. On top of it, I think much of our success has been driven by cost-efficient capacity building, not only through our amazing volunteers and support system that's been activated, but also our lovely businesses of the city center. They've provided many and immense in-kind donations to our events that we've hosted and held within the city center in the last 3 months.
I'm going to jump in also. I would want to underscore the membership growth that we're seeing, and that's definitely an area that I anticipate will continue to grow and make up a larger portion of our funding. I don't have the 28, 29 numbers in front of me. I wouldn't expect that 55 number to come down anytime soon, but certainly making a much smaller portion of the budget as the memberships grow. We've applied to a couple grants, including one on New Year's Eve, which was great on the deadline. So we
Substantial grant.
certainly anticipate as Sophia kind of gets out of the whirlwind of just getting us off the ground with a couple initial events, that we'll have more bandwidth to put towards diversifying funding from different grant programs that we've sort of identified and networked, but never really had the chops to actually manage a grant like that. So we're definitely anticipating that. Hopefully, we'll have some happy news with some of these also, but it's still early to say. That's why I think this 20,000 is pretty important as we kind of gain our sea legs, and we don't want to totally lose balance here.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And I agree. I mean, I think the city dollars that you guys have graciously funded us so far, it's been a stable anchor for us. And I think going forward into FY27, where we're looking for this one-time funding is to be able to have this modest buffer for some unforeseen expenses that might arise. But I do have some pretty aggressive goals for myself in getting us funding with in Q3, Q4, as well as going into FY27.
Any council discussion at all?
Sophia, when you were benchmarking kind of against other Main Street America towns, Montpelier, I know there were some others, did you get an idea how long it took to become self-sustaining?
I did not get that idea. So I was looking for some resources. I think I had provided this resource just from the Main Street America org on their last report, but I don't know how much city funding or how much other organizations receive from the city.
In self-sustaining, I'm not. I think the majority or a plurality of programs are not self-sustaining. They typically receive continued support. So that I think pairs with our goal of weaning not down to zero, but down to a much smaller percentage than where we're at now, which is probably 90 or above.
So can I jump in with?
Sure.
So this is an N of two cities other cities I've worked for in Vermont, Montpelier, Alive, and downtown Winooski. Neither of them are fully off some kind of tax dollars. It can be a downtown improvement district, like Sophia mentioned, but it's not. That's still a property tax on a specific area. I do also want to note one of the things we talked about at the board, and I don't know if this is your perspective. So correct me if it's not. But I think one of the challenges that SB3C is up against right now is developing a brand that can grow membership and grow events and grow other revenue streams. You know, kind of a startup. They're in a startup mode, and supporting a downtown that is still very much under construction and under development. So, you know, we have 50,000 square feet of commercial space right here on Garden and Market. We have a lot of other commercial space that is already full, but if we're thinking about right here on Garden and Market, those businesses aren't here yet to be members or to promote vibrancy or to support. So while there are a lot of businesses in City Center that certainly I know Sophia is already partnering with, we are still in a upswing. So they haven't been matched yet with the other market forces that will help them grow and be independent over time. I think that's really what we all as city partners should be thinking about and asking about and talking about in the next 6 months to 5 years.
Jesse, the two organizations that you mentioned, the other two municipalities, what % of the funding is from the municipality? You have a sense?
I mean, I haven't worked for those organizations in 5 to 10 years, so I don't know that currently off the top of my head. I'm sure that with some time, Sophia could find that out. I think it's I don't know. It was not 90%, but it was not 10%.
Another thing that's really important to keep in mind is the work that you guys are doing is directly integral in the success of our TIF district and the growing of downtown. And in terms of a return on investment, if you guys keep doing the work the way you're doing it, it's a no-brainer. So and the work that Alana's doing needs every bit of support it can get. And as downtown becomes really viable economically, a lot of that will be because of the legwork you guys are doing.
Thank
And
you.
they've been partnering with a recreation department, in terms of providing volunteers and other and visibility of some of the events.
Good. All right. Satisfied? Because the next agenda item will be a decision that we have to make. So,
You mean this little green chart?
if that's in the next item, the little green one. So if you want to stick around, you can find out what happens.
I've been getting pinged. I'm glad nothing came through for texting because my kids are like, "Where are you?" So
Oh, okay, then go home.
past bedtime. But yes, thank you, and thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks for coming in, folks.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you all.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item 12, which is the FY27.
Can you stop? Oh, never mind. We've left.
Done.
Yeah, you're good.
That's one way to stop sharing. Just close it. Yeah. Item 12, FY27 budget. Continue council discussion on use of one-time funds and other feedback on the proposed budget. Jesse Baker, City Manager, Stephen Locke, Deputy City Manager, and Martha Machar, Finance Director. Martha's here. Come on down if she has to.
She's avoiding eye contact.
She must be exhausted right now.
She had a vacation. She's doing great.
Get over it.
No, I will share this. So we can, as I previously said, we can have any budget conversation you would like to have, as this is kind of your last big discussion night. Next meeting will be your public hearing, any final changes you want to make, but at the end of your next council meeting, you will need to warn a budget to bring to the voters. So as I said earlier in the meeting, part of the solution to reaching your property tax goals and continuing current level of services and strategic investment in one-time needs was a set of proposals around using one-time funds for our affordability goals. So what you have here is it's a PDF online in your packet, but this is an active worksheet that lets you turn on these ideas to understand what the deferred penny and percent impact is. And then down here at the bottom, the mouse is very slow. This is what you have available after you achieve your 16.66% fund balance goal. So this subtracts what you've said yes to from that to leave what your total available fund balance would be after that. Of course, you can go below the 16% in per your policy, but the 16% is the target.
And Jesse, if we were to approve all the proposed, I guess it's another 200,000 down or so. So it'd be 275 left. Is that right? Okay.
And I do want to mention just two other things. The starred ones are the ones you've previously talked about, and I think you have said yes to. While it's helpful for us, if you approve this kind of all as one packet next week to give us complete budget direction, you can approve the use of one-time funds anytime in the fiscal year. So you can say, okay, we're interested in GMT consulting if the need arises, but we don't know yet if the need is going to arise. So come back to us in the future with that request if you want. For example.
Can I ask you a stupid question?
No.
I mean, we have a choice of either balance funds or ARPA inspired as well, right? Is that a true statement?
Yes.
Is there a reason why we would choose fund over ARPA inspired? And just
you have.
is there a reason why? I mean,
the reason I displayed it this way was that these are the funds that you currently use as your savings account, currently go to when you need grant match or other things, versus the ARPA inspired fund balance that I have gotten the sense from you in the past is really for those big transformational projects that are going to make a bigger impact as opposed to, helping to meet that one-time annual budget goal. But certainly if you would prefer us to use ARPA inspired fund balance, we could bring that total to you at your next meeting.
If we approve the total proposed, what will that bring our fund balance to in terms of percentage?
It would bring the 475 down to about 275, right?
And what would that be in terms of percentage, if our target
Oh,
is 16%?
but still, this is what's above the 16%.
This is what's above the 16%.
Is that correct?
Your
Right?
balance would be 274. You would have 274,000 remaining to hit your 16.66%.
So more than this. Okay.
Let's go
So
shopping.
that would be about, Martha,
That,
19%, 18.5%.
Okay.
Math on the fly.
17.
17%.
It keeps us above the 16.
Yes.
So we all do all this and we're still above the 16.
Yes.
Is council,
Also, keep in mind that if you approve these things and we don't spend these dollars for these purposes, it stays in fund balance.
council okay with that? The full 200K to fulfill all those items?
If we need to.
I have to say, I
If
really
the
don't
timing is
understand
right.
what you're talking about.
Oh.
I'll be very clear.
Right. Sorry. So you have a fund balance, which is like a savings account.
Yes.
So every time we end a fiscal year in the black, the difference between the money we have available goes into the fund balance. And you get to use that for any purposes in the future, but only the council can allocate that.
Right.
Right now, you, in your fund balance policy, you have set a target for yourselves to have 16.66% of our annual operating budget set aside and not touched in case a big crisis comes up or something else comes up. So that's what that 16.66% target is. So what the $533,000 is how much over that target you currently are. So if you
So we have more money
Than
in
the
the
16%.
savings account.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to give you here is a spreadsheet where you can turn things on and off to say we're comfortable with the risk of, we want to invest in a self-checkout replacement or a self-checkout machine replacement at the library. We're willing to invest $9,000 and we're comfortable with the risk that lowers our target balance down to 18% in our savings account.
So I mean, personally, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well,
And I've set it up this way, Anne, so you can turn them on and off. So say hypothetically you wanted to say, okay, we want to fund SB3C at 20,000. I put it over here in this column. This totals down to 78,000. That means you have 455 left.
So if we moved SB3C funding to the starred list,
right? That's what would happen.
That's what would happen.
Yep. You got it.
Now Sally, social worker, is comfortable kind of deferred social service funding, but I don't want it to go away. I mean, this will happen after I'm long gone, so I want to make my opinion known now. No. These are oftentimes one-time things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the food shelf may be buying a building. And if the city could support that with that 20 with a bulk of that 28,000, I think that fits. So therefore, I'm okay with not spending it now, but I don't want it to go away. And I personally would like it not to be identified for anyway.
So Anne,
Yes.
we also have a pot of money in the ARPA inspired funds. And if the food shelf is going forward to buy a building and the council deems it an appropriate use of those funds, we could take money from that fund and use it to support the food shelf as well. So there are a number of avenues besides this. The social service funding was, I believe, specifically to follow on what we've done in previous years around funding social service organizations. So it doesn't preclude
Okay.
that future option.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, Jeff?
You know, so my only question is, it's clear to me, I guess, that the SB3C request is ripe in the sense that they want us to execute this agreement so they know how to proceed and they understand their budget, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's not clear to me which of the other items here are ripe in that sense. So I know you mentioned the GMC consulting. Jesse, I don't know if that's ripe. We need to make that decision now. In terms of the social service funding, honestly, I'd love to have a discussion about who, what, and where before we make that decision. I don't know if that's ripe either. So that's kind of my perspective. I guess I'd like to segregate these into things that we think we need to do now and things that we can kind of defer for future discussion.
We can only defer as far as next week.
No.
No, one time we can do whenever.
Okay, so these aren't part of the budget.
I share Andrew's comments that I would do exactly what's modeled right here now in terms of the budget, the 3 items that are in the discussed.
So add SBC 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. And then the others, even in the notes, their future, their strategic emerging needs, so we can have those discussions when there's more to respond to.
I'm comfortable with that.
Are there any that have urgency around them?
I think you've starred the ones that are that the current budget as presented is most reliant on. You know, the 49,000 for CIP funding for Patchen Road, that gets you from the 3.5% tax rate increase down to the 3.3% tax rate increase. I think it's respectful to give certainty to SB3C. I think EDS, the Economic Development Strategic Plan, we can come back to you with a recommendation about that as we hire a staff person and have them put together that recommendation. GMT Consulting, I think the same. If a need emerges, we can come to you with that. I'm going to put Steve on the spot to talk about E911 in a minute. I do want to note that the social service funding, just to be totally transparent, is the one that we are cutting out of the tax capacity budget. So to Ann's point, if you don't want it to go away, you've got to put it back into the tax rate budget, not into the one-time fund budget. This is giving you more options in the future to think about how to use both your fund balance, your opioid settlement money, and your ARPA-inspired fund balance to do any number of things at any number of scales. Steve, do you want to talk about 911?
I would just say that it is, again, an emerging item that perhaps is not ripe enough that we can bring you back with a plan to do that at a given time. Not a decision needs to be made as part of this budget discussion.
I'm concerned about our commitment to social service funding, particularly given all that's going on in our community with those that are less fortunate than me. And given that we took the social service funding out of our tax-funded budget, I would like to see us make that commitment. I'd like to see that one move to the discussed column, because I'm committed to it. I think most of us are. And how we allocate those funds is a discussion that we need to have.
Again.
Yeah. But committing to saying we are going to spend those funds, to me, is an easy thing to do right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would like to see that one move to the total discussed.
I agree.
I'd prefer to have the discussion because there are other sources of that funding. So I don't know when that can happen on our agenda, but I don't feel it has to be included to be able to have that discussion and fund it in the future.
I prefer to see that allocation discussion because I think it's not easy, and I'm not sure we're going to get. I would prefer to see the discussion as to how we would propose to allocate it before we decide to, because
Do you want to dedicate the dollars first?
No, I'd like to see if someone come up with, if we had $28,000, this is what we would do with it, and see if we agree that makes sense, because there's been a fair amount of. We've had a lot of different strategies around this. None of them sat really well, with everybody. And I think it's a really hard discussion. And it may well be when we have this discussion, we conclude it's just too hard. So my view is we're putting the cart before the horse to allocate this before we have that discussion.
Anne has a wrinkled brow.
Can't we put it in the savings account?
It is in the
how can we have a discussion if there's not
No,
going to be?
it's in the savings account now. We could always
Oh,
pull it
okay.
out. We could always allocate it.
Well, then
This would just be earmarking,
you don't even want
which
to
I
earmark.
think is important.
Well, I think the general concept of earmarking it for social services, then, it's like, okay, we're going to spend up to, and maybe more, but we are saving in our legal savings account $28,000 to do something to support the social service needs of people who are living in South Burlington.
And to me, this is making the commitment to have that conversation. If we don't, if we put it in the total discussed column, we are committed to having that discussion. If it's still sitting as to be discussed at a later date, it's more amorphous. And I think it's important spending.
I think if at least two of us agree right now that we want to have that discussion, we can make that happen without earmarking the dollars.
If the agenda item gets set on at a future meeting to have that discussion, we figure out that we can determine the recipients and the quantities and the dollar values. So we don't really have to designate it now. Okay, but we need to. I think we feel a commitment to have that conversation.
Let's put it on
Do you
an
agree
agenda.
with that? Okay,
Yes.
so
Sooner than later.
yeah, when do we normally disperse those dollars? In the summer?
So you normally disperse them in May and June because they are, they are a fiscal year fund that you need to spend.
Okay.
In this model, if you are using your savings account, you can do it any time. I do, and happy to have that conversation. I do want to note that in my mind, that conversation is slightly different from what we were proposing, which was to eliminate the social service funding for a more strategic use of our opioid settlement dollars. And the police chief is working on, a set of proposals that will help support our service organizations in a targeted way to what we are seeing on the street, which I think, quite frankly, is going to be significant. It could be significantly more than 28,000, but from a whole different funding source that is sitting there, about 300,000, only for the purposes of addressing the impacts of the opioid settlement. If you're telling me to put on the agenda to talk about this funding, I'm going to come back to you and say, I think we should have a bigger conversation than just this conversation.
Agree with that.
Steve is.
And I would just say that the last couple times, this whole conversation has been a lot of work from the finance team getting prepared for that. And they do not have the capacity in the next 60 days to take this on, given the work they're doing with the software implementation.
Yeah, I could envision this conversation being broader, including that, and there might be additional information available on the food shelf needs at that point.
I was thinking and threw that out because I misunderstood and sort of thought that the budget policy add-ons, most of these seem to me to be one-time funds. That we weren't getting excited about having people keep coming, although I guess SP3 is not necessarily one time.
Or the add-on is.
But that, which is so I was thinking, okay, the food shelf wants to buy a building. I just got an email, many of you did, that they're close, they're doing their due diligence. So, the city provides, a grant or, and that's a one-time, kind of thing. But not to negate what the chief is doing with the opioid settlement money. And that's already in the budget, right?
It's in the bank account.
It's in the bank account.
In bank account.
Separate account, yeah. So I agree with, I think we all are pretty much agree now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, a future discussion, including what the police chief has as a proposal for what to do with the opioid settlement funds, right? And then if it's another, I mean, there could be a parallel discussion that happens because of developments with the food shelf.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, because I guess 28,000 to give to 10 organizations,
That's $2,800 each.
which
This is,
And we might give it to two. That was the whole
every
conversation.
4 years or whatever, this discussion comes up, and we look at the list, and in the past, we've gone like this and like this.
well,
and, you know.
which
The last year was a little different. The list got a little bit longer.
yeah,
and
I just
so I think this is a good path to take.
okay.
Yeah. Good. Anything else on that? All right. Let's move on to item 13. No, we did item 10. 13. I'm appointed, right. So that's good. So now we're at item 14, which is review significant agenda topics for January 12th. Hey, that's in a
Budget
week.
all the time. Yes.
Why are we coming back in a week? What? Nobody told me that.
We had this discussion at the beginning.
I wasn't following it very closely, so.
You approved a budget schedule with this on the schedule. So Monday night, it is all budget all the time. So it will be your public hearing. It will be all the action, any further discussion you want to have, and then all the actions you need to take to do that, and then talk about my annual review process.
Okay.
Then just so we're not confused, so there's Monday the 12th council meeting, and then no other council meeting in January, but for the steering committee meeting with the school board, which right now is scheduled for Wednesday, January 21st.
Yep.
So that will be public because it will just be the process. And then
Will you be reminding us of the process from last year? Okay.
I'll give you a memo.
And we're meeting February 2nd.
Yes, and then we're back to our, well, we're sort of
Yes.
back to our first and third, except then the
Don't forget
third
January
is
30th,
Tuesday.
except for you. You won't be here.
And can I clarify the date? It is the 12th where everything's finalized on the budget. So that will generate ballot language and so forth.
Yep.
Thanks.
That's when everything from you is finalized on the budget. Obviously, folks running for office have more time, and petition items also have a few more days.
And we need to evaluate the city manager again?
What?
Every year? What?
Again?
No, I don't know.
Oh, the process.
Check.
Check.
Doesn't say how in depth it has to be.
Good. Item 15. Any other business? All right. Hearing none, we'll go to 16, which is adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Well,
Appreciate it.